Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's Whit here again with another video. So as you guys can see by the title today, I am going to be showing you guys my entire Juvia's Place eyeshadow palette collection, all 14 of the palettes. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to tell you guys which ones are necessary, which ones are nice to have but aren't necessary, and then which ones are just like, they're not really necessary. I'm going to be including swatches for you guys. So as you guys know, I am a huge fan of Juvia's Place. I have a couple of tutorials on my channel using their palettes, and I will have them linked down below. The ones that I have used, that I did tutorials with, linked down below for you guys to check them out if you want to. Also, I am doing this video because I know Black Friday is coming up soon, and I know some people are interested in Juvia's Place. Like, you know, they probably don't have any palettes, or they have a couple, but it's like, which other ones do I really need? Do I really need all of them? So I know Black Friday is coming up, and Juvia's Place is really good about having really good sales. So between Black Friday and Cyber Monday, I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive that they're gonna have a sale going on. So if after this video you are interested in buying something from them, I honestly would wait until Black Friday or Cyber Monday to buy from them. But if you can't wait, there are plenty of YouTubers or influencers who have codes for 10% off, so it's up to you. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this video. I'm going to categorize these palettes into 3 groups: must-haves, nice to have but they're not really necessary, and then they're just not necessary, period. That's how I'm going to categorize these palettes, so that for those who are interested in buying, you kind of know, you kind of gauge. Honestly, you can make your own decision based off of these things, but I'm just giving you my opinions on what I feel like it's necessary and what's really not. Okay, so let's start off with where it all began, the original Nubian palette. So this is what the palette looks like. I personally feel like this is a must-have. It has every single shade that you could possibly need to get like an everyday eye done. You have some nice transition shades here. You have some deeper colors to give, like, you know, a nice deeper outer V type shade. You have plenty of beautiful shimmer shades. You can use this palette for everyday look. You can play it up for nighttime. And the thing I really love about this palette is that they have deeper shades. I feel like a lot of palettes on the market these days, you know, tend to have a bunch of light shades. I'm like, bro, did you forget about this whole other community of people who are darker? Like, I can only use this as transition shades. So I feel like you can definitely achieve a lot of looks with this palette. And y'all, it's small and petite, you know? And so if you are someone who travels a lot, this is definitely travel friendly. Or if you're someone who doesn't like bulky packaging, I know people like that. I've been at work at times, people have told me, Whitney, I would really like to buy that palette, but it's just too big. I just don't like it. It's bulky. And so this is definitely small and petite. So I would definitely say this is a must-have. Next, we have the Nubian 2. This is actually the very first palette of theirs that I bought from them. And it looks like this. Personally, I feel like this is a nice to have but not really necessary. Oh, and by the way, my last tutorial I did use this blue, so if you're interested in that, I'll link it down below. But I personally don't feel like this palette is necessary. Honestly, I feel like when I look at this, I don't really grab much inspiration. I just see pops of colors that I can use to create other looks. I feel like the palette overall is not really cohesive. But the reason why I'm not putting it as not necessary is because you really could, you know, use certain shades to complete other looks. I just feel like these colors just don't go. Like, you have this really warm shade, then you have this really cool tone shade, and then you have this purple, and then this brown, and then it's just, I feel like you cannot, I personally feel like I just can't do multiple looks using this palette alone. So that's why I feel like it's not a must-have. I feel like a must-have is like, if I need to go somewhere, I can just grab this one palette and be on my way. And I feel like this, I can't do that. So I feel like it's nice to have, but it's not really necessary. Alrighty, so next we have the Masquerade palette, and I do have a tutorial on my channel using this, and it looks like this. I feel like this is a must-have, and the reason why is because you have a nice array of shades here that you can create everyday looks with, but then you also have some fun colors up here, and the colors for the most part down here are cohesive. Like, you can create a multitude of looks just using this alone, and then you can branch into these shades too and still be able to use some of these transition shades to accompany these other ones. And also, this is a pretty big palette. They do have this in a smaller size, so if you're interested in this but you don't want this big one, they do have a smaller one. The likelihood of me ever hitting pan on any of these palettes is slim to none. And so if you're someone who does not play with color, I honestly, if they would have had the smaller one when this came out, I probably would have got that, but they had the, when this came out, I got it right away, and then a few months later, they came out with a smaller version of it. So yeah, I would definitely say this is a must-have, and if you don't want this big one, I would get the smaller one. Next, we have the Magic palette. This is personally one of my favorite palettes of theirs. I love this. I would say this is a must-have, in my opinion. And this could vary for some people, but I feel like I get some crease colors here. They don't really have that many like browns or whatever, but that's not really what they were going for. They're really I feel like what they were trying to go were like day and nighttime looks, you know? So you can definitely play around with this and still play around with color. I feel like if they probably would have had like a dark brown shade, this would have been like perfect, but I grab this palette a lot. Like, I really do. I'm always using this shade. Always using this one when I'm doing like my blues and purple looks. I love it. If you're into like duochrome stuff, this will be perfect for you. And you can still use these shades right here to complete everyday eye looks if you wanted to. And then it has this little nice brow bone color here. I feel like this palette is definitely a must-have. I love it. So yeah, I would say this is a must-have. Alright, so next I'm going to do their Saharan collection. They have 2 palettes and 2 blush palettes. We're going to start off with the Saharan one, or the Saharan palette, which looks like this. You guys, this one for me is a must-have. I love this palette. It is gorgeous. I feel like this is another palette that I can create a multitude of looks using this palette alone. And you guys, it has a black. Listen, if you have a black in your palette, you've caught my attention and I'm interested. I want to know what's going on. Because, you know, you can always deepen it up if you need to. And these shimmers are gorgeous. This palette is gorgeous. I would say it's definitely a must-have. Okay, you guys, so next we have the Saharan 2 palette. I would say for the daily average consumer, I would say this is a nice-to-have. I don't think it's necessary. I don't feel like I can use this as an everyday palette. I don't feel like I can just take this palette and this be the only palette I ever use for the rest of my life. I just don't see it. No. And then, I don't know, Juvia's Place is infamous for doing this, but they love to put random blues or just a random pop of color in a palette. Like, it's just weird. Like, look at this. If I take these 2 colors out, just look at that. I mean, you do have some nice matte shades and you can create some looks with this, but it's only so many that you can do. So I would say that this is nice to have, but it's not really necessary where you would find yourself grabbing it every day. I find that whenever I grab this palette, it's literally for like one shade. Like, I'm coming in for this shade, or I always do it one at a time. Like, I don't see myself just, oh, we're just gonna do a whole look with this. I just don't do it. Alrighty. So next we have their blush palettes, the Saharan 1. Oh, the Saharan 1 and the Saharan 2 blush volume. So we're gonna start off with this one. Personally, I feel like this is a nice to have, but not really a must have. And the reason why is, well, let's start off with this. I don't see any difference in formulation when it comes to these blushes and the shadows. Honestly, I think they just labeled it as a blush palette and they said it's gonna be blush today, but you can use this however you want to. I've definitely used these as highlighters before. I use these as shadows. This right here, first and foremost, who is blushing this color? Like, who do they have in mind? Like, if anything, I would use this as a contour shade, but not really. I would just kind of stick with this to being like an outer, like using it on my eye or whatever. I mix these 2 and use them as blush on my face today. So yeah, I feel like this is not really a must-have, but I mean, it's nice to have. And if you're lighter, like if you're more fair, sorry, these colors are just gonna look crazy on you if you try to use them as blush. It's just a no. So next we have the Saharan Blush Volume 2. I feel like this one is a must-have. I just love it. I feel like you can definitely use these as blushes. Well, you can use this as blushes. If you're someone who's a little bit lighter, you can definitely get away with that. You can use this as a bronzer. If you're someone who's deeper, you can definitely use this as like transition shades. I have used both of these as blushes and as highlighters. I've used this as blushes, blush toppers. I feel like it's a gorgeous palette. I feel like you can get more use out of this, in my opinion. Even depending on skin tone or not, I feel like you can still get some good use out of this compared to the other one, where you can still get some. And I'm judging it based off of a blush palette. I feel like realistically, this is more of a blush palette than this. Like, these are not blushes. I feel like just between 1, 2, and this one, barely could be used as blushes. Next, we have the Afrique palette. Now, for me, I would say this is, it's nice to have. I don't think it's a must-have, personally. You can definitely create a couple of looks with this. I will say that. You can definitely create a couple of looks with this. You do have some transition shades right here. Even this one here. I just feel like if you're gonna put these colors in here, you might as well put a dark brown. You might as well, like, you know. The shimmers are really pretty. I will say I did use this palette to do an eye look. I didn't record it or anything. And this green right here, this green gave me some trouble. And this is the first time that any Juvia's Place eyeshadow has ever done that to me, which was really strange. And the type of struggle it gave me was ABH subculture type troubles, like where you would put it on and you're blending and it's like, where's my eyeshadow? Like, it was a struggle. I ended up having to put like my shadow base, like packing the color there and like slightly blending. It was just tragic. I don't know what happened, and it was just that one green shade. I was just like, what's going on? And that's the only Juvia's Place eyeshadow that's ever done that to me. So I was really like, what the heck? So yeah, I would say this is nice to have, but it's not really a must have. Okay, so next we have the Juvia's Place Zulu palette, and it looks like this. And this is just a really colorful palette. I think this is nice to have. I don't really think it's necessary, like, for you to just, I must have it, you know. It's definitely a palette that will pair well with others, and you can create a multitude of looks that way. But to just use this as an everyday, all the time, most people do not use colors like this every day. So I think this is just a nice to have. Okay, so next we have the Deuce palette, and it looks like this. I feel like this personally is just not necessary to even buy. I don't think it's nice to have. I don't think it's a must-have. I think it's not necessary. Yet again, listen, I'm so committed to Juvia's Place that I have to own them all. Even if it doesn't speak to me, even when I see them, I'm just like, I still buy it. Cause I'm like, you know what? I'm ready this far deep in. I already have them all. I just gotta keep buying. You know? Like, does anybody else do that? Like, my manager, she literally bought the Urban Decay Naked Cherry palette, even though she did not care for it. She's like, Whitney, I collect them. I already have all the other Naked palettes. I have to have this one to complete my collection. I'm like, you know what? I'm not judging you, because I'm the same way with Juvia's Place. Like, I have to have them all. I don't know. So this palette, I just feel like this palette in general is just, it's just not cohesive. Like okay, let's look at this. Let's look at this real good. Okay, here, okay, we got a pink little scheme going on. This one can kind of go along with these. Okay, we can kind of throw this one in with this. The brown, we'll let you have the brown too. But where the heck did these two colors come from? And Juvia's Place does this a lot. Like, they put random shades in. It's just like, where, like, if I, like, you have all these pinks and stuff, where do you want me to fit in this green? Like, you know, and you know, Nikki Tutorials did a look using just this palette alone, and it was gorgeous. But most people are not her, and most people cannot wear those type of looks to corporate America, or like their 9-to-5 job. Like, it's not professional. It's not a thing. And in general, most people do not like to do crazy colors. Believe it or not, a lot of people kind of like to keep, like, the amount of people that come into Sephora and like, I just want a nice everyday eye, like, you know, I want browns, earthy colors. Like, it's very rare that I get those people who say, let's do something bold, let's do something crazy, okay? So this, for the average Jane, no, I just feel like this is just no. So that's why I feel like this is not really necessary to have or to just buy. Next, we have the Festival palette, and honestly, I was feeling this palette, like, you know, when I saw the packaging, I was like, oh yes, that's it, baby. And then they opened it up and I was like, this is really boring. This is actually really boring. Yet again, another palette that is just honestly really not cohesive. These two colors are just random. They love to put random, and it's always blue and gunmetal. Like, they did that in the other palette, and they did a different type of gunmetal and blue. Like, what? And yet again, there's only so many. When I look at this palette, I don't feel inspired to just bring out my brushes and let's just start getting to work. Like, if anything, when you look at this, you're just thinking, okay, how am I, like, okay, how am I gonna do this look? Like, I don't like shade, like this shade right here. I don't like this type of colors in my crease. I don't like these peachy type colors. I like it more brown, warm type shades. I don't like this type of color. So right off the bat, this is a no. This red is pretty, but the only way I can see myself using this red is like with that shade, and that's and then this in like the crease. That's a look that I think I can create. But I mean, do y'all feel inspired looking at this? Like, if anything, the thing with Juvia's place and a lot of her palettes do this is that they are paired well with others. Like, a lot of them are not just palettes that you can just, I'm just gonna use you and use you alone. So I just feel like this is not really necessary to purchase, and if you are trying to figure out which ones to buy, I would definitely skip out on this one and get like one of the other palettes. Okay, and then lastly, we have the Warrior palette, and I'm gonna do these together because it goes in a way. So let's start off with the Warrior one, which this is another palette that I do have a tutorial on my channel using. I will have that link down below as well too. Right off the bat, I would say that this is a nice to have, but it's not really necessary. And the reason why I'm saying that is because yes, it is a neutral palette for the most part, and you can create a couple of looks using this, but this right here are like really good transition shades, and we have that shade, and that's about all the mattes you have here, and there's just a bunch of shimmers. And most eye looks are, you know, we do all kind of mattes and then we put a shimmer on our lid. That's how most people do their eyeshadow. Now, a lot of people do shimmer all over the eye. Like, a lot of people don't do that. And this brown is really not that deep. Like, if you watch my tutorial using this, I had to pack this color on. And so if you're deeper than me, oh, you're gonna be dipping in and putting in like, it's not as dark as it looks, and I was shocked by that. And then you just have all these shimmer shades, you know. So literally what you would be doing is crease, transition, outer V, and you just pick a shade to put on your lid. So I feel like this is a nice to have, but it's not necessary. But the Warrior 2, which yet again, my last tutorial I did use this palette. I feel like it's a must have. It's an all matte palette. Like, you have all the mattes you could possibly need. Like, you have these pretty browns, these shades. If you like these shades, I personally don't really care for, well, I don't really care for shades like this. This I would use, that I would use. I have a black. You have a black. Oh my gosh, they gave us a black. Thank you. You have a really pretty brow bone shade here again too, if you're a little bit lighter. You have this pretty like grayish shade or whatever here. So you can't go wrong with an all matte palette. You can do an all matte eye. So I feel like this is a must have. But if you want to pair these two together, this will now make this together must haves. But if you're just trying to get them separately, must have, nice to have. So that is how I would categorize this palette. So I'm gonna do a recap of everything for you guys. So for my palettes that I found were not necessary were these two palettes, the Deuce palette and the Festival. I don't feel like they're really necessary for you to have. You could honestly skip out on those palettes. For my nice to have, but they're not really must haves, I have the Warrior palette by Juvia's Place. I have the Zulu palette. I have the Afrique palette. I have the Saharan Blush Volume 1 palette. I have the Saharan 2 palette. And I have the Nubian 2 palette. Those are palettes that I find are nice to have, but they're not really must-haves. So if you have extra money to splurge, go ahead and get them if you want to. Then for my babies that I feel like, baby, you need to have these. These are must-haves if you had to go with any palette from Juvia's place. It is the Warrior 2 palette, the Saharan Blush Volume 2 palette, the Saharan palette, the eyeshadow palette, the Nubian palette, the Magic palette, and the Masquerade palette. Alrighty you guys, so that is my Juvia's Place eyeshadow palette collection. I hope this video was helpful for anyone who was like, should I get them, should I not, like which one should I buy? They have so many. I know it's intimidating. They have 14 palettes to choose from and they're all like super gorgeous looking, but when you really look at them in depth, you know, in depth, whatever the word is, however you say it, when you really look at them in a different light, you kind of see which ones are just like, okay, that makes sense for me to buy right now. You know what, I have a little bit of extra money, let me go ahead and splurge on these. And then those, I can pass on them. So that's what I wanted to do with this video, is just kind of help you guys make your decisions easier. I already own them all, so might as well be a help to those who want to buy them but they're not really sure what to buy. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and Snapchat. Also make sure you comment down below letting me know what type of videos you would like to see. And then, you know, just showing some love, y'all. Show some love, okay? Just show some love. And until next time, I will talk to you guys later. Bye. I need to get a thumbnail in, y'all. I want to do one like it's falling on me. Oh snap. Goddamn. Y'all, there's one like all the way over there. You guys, who am I? Like Whitney with the constant uploads? Like y'all, I went ghost. Like I was gone, but I'm back. Okay.